Thank you for tuning in and welcome back, team. In today's episode of Homeowner Tips, you learn about the top 10 expensive mistakes you're making with your home. My name is Andrew Finney, your real estate geek. If you need help finding a top agent where you live, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. Okay, team, so let's talk about this. You know, we work really hard to get into our homes, right? We had to save up our down payment. We had to save up our buyer closing costs. We had to go through looking at all kinds of homes to find the right one that was for us. Now let's make sure that our dream home doesn't become a nightmare home by avoiding common expensive mistakes that we can take action on today, this weekend, whenever is convenient for you. You can get it done right away. So the first thing that common mistake that people make that adds up over the course of a year is actually continuing to use traditional light bulbs. When you use traditional light bulbs, it inflates your electric bill, and that's not a good thing. Whenever we start talking about that, it can actually, an incandescent bulb can actually use about $180 worth of electricity over the course of its life. So that's really concerning, because if you get like a CFL bulb, and for reference, a CFL is an acronym for compact fluorescent light, it will only use about $41 of electricity over its lifetime, right? So even better is an LED bulb, which actually only uses $30 per bulb over the course of its entire life. So if you're looking at those numbers, and if an incandescent bulb is going to cost you $180 over the course of its life, and an LED bulb, which might be more expensive, is actually going to save you $150 over the course of its life, then it's kind of a no-brainer how quickly that can add up when you start counting how many lights that you have in your house, right? So the second thing that big expensive mistake that people make is ignoring a leaky faucet. If you ignore a leaky faucet, then what happens is it just drips like 1 drop per second, drip. And believe it or not, one leaky faucet that drips once per second will consume about 3,000 gallons of water over the course of a year, which is enough water to take 180 showers. So even if you took 2 showers a day, that's 3 months worth of showers. If you did that, if you're only taking 1 shower a day, it's 180 days of showers just from one leaky faucet over the course of the year. So go ahead and get that fixed, because it might not feel it so much in the electric bill water bill over 3,000 gallons per year, but you're going to be wasting a huge amount of water that you could be saving and taking 180 showers with it. So then the third common mistake that people make is actually using the wrong air filter size, or the wrong air filter in general for their HVAC unit. When you do that, you got to think of the HVAC unit and the filter as kind of like the lungs to your HVAC system. You want to keep it healthy, you want to keep it fresh, you want to make sure that, you know, they have arrows on it. You want to make sure that you're putting the arrows in the right direction, and that you're getting the right size and appropriate type of air filter for your HVAC unit, so you can keep it healthy. Because if you don't and it gets clogged, it can actually cause your compressor on your HVAC system to freeze, and it can also cause other issues with that. That's going to make your unit actually have to work harder, which is going to drive up your electric bill, and also going to cost you an HVAC repairman to come out and fix it whenever something goes wrong. So make sure that you're using the right size of air filter. It's a really simple way to help your HVAC out and work easier, keep your house cooler or hotter depending on the season, and also extend the life expectancy of your unit. So the fourth thing is actually not customizing your temperature. So, you know, there's programmable thermostats these days, and if you're going to be gone, let's say that, you know, we go to work and it's in the morning, maybe the AC hasn't kicked on yet, or, you know, here in Las Vegas, Nevada, it'll get pretty toasty early in the morning. So depending on what temperature you have your home set at, the HVAC may have already kicked on. But if you're going to be gone, why not raise it a few degrees so that you have a programmable thermostat, so that during the heat of the day at peak electricity time, you can still keep your home reasonably cool, but not as cool as you would keep it when you're home. By raising your temperature about 5 to 10 degrees over the course of the day, it's going to save you a lot of money, and then you can actually just hit your phone, or if it's programmable thermostat based upon time, and about an hour or so, 30 minutes or so before you get home, have it kick on and start chilling down the house to the temperature that's going to be convenient for you, or heating up the house if it's cold weather. The fifth thing that is very expensive that people do is not adjusting their air vents correctly. You know, the air vents in the ceiling, I'm looking at one in my house right now. So, you know, this is my home office that I shoot from, by the way. So I'm looking at the air filter, the air vent, and I have it so that it spreads the air throughout the house. What happens, or throughout this room, What happens if I were to close it? Or what happens if I move the fins the wrong way and then the room gets warmer than it should, right? Then it would seem like it's common sense to go ahead and lower the temperature and get the AC running more. Well, that's not exactly the case, because if you have everything distributed correctly and you put your air vent in the correct positions, then it's going to help cool the whole room. And if you leave the doors open throughout the house whenever you're not using them, then you can go ahead and balance the air throughout the house, which is going to help you keep it cool. But if you're not adjusting your vents properly, then you might be running your unit harder than it should be ran for something that you could really make a really easy correction on by adjusting your air vents properly. The sixth common and really expensive mistake that people can make is overwater the lawn. And you might be saying, Andrew, I don't overwater my lawn. What the heck are you talking about? Well, think about this. When's the last time that you actually went and manually touched your sprinkler system and checked out all your sprinkler heads? Don't feel bad if you haven't done it. I mean, it's one of those things that we always got to remember. It's one of those things that we got a timer for, and it automates, and it makes life a lot easier. So we're like, oh yeah, the grass is green, so it must be working, right? Or the shrubs are all beautiful, and the trees are all growing, so everything must be working, right? But by not actually going and checking it maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, manually running through the sets, what happens when one of those sprinkler heads break? What happens if you have like landscapers that come out and they run over a sprinkler head or something like that, and you might not catch it, or they may not have catched it? It's just an innocent mistake. And now you're watering the pavement, or you're watering something else other than what you want to be watering, or you have this flood in your yard, but because it might be happening when you're not home, you may not have noticed it. So by checking your sprinkler head systems at least every couple weeks manually, you'll know whether you have any leaks, you'll know whether you have any issues, and you'll be able to avoid overwatering your lawn and having way high water bills. That might be you could actually go for a period of like 1 to 2 months, and then you get this really high water bill, and you're like, what the heck? This is like so much higher than before. And that might have been your first idea that maybe, hey, you know what? There's something wrong with the sprinkler system. But if you take a proactive stance on that and actually check it every couple of weeks, you won't be in that position. So the seventh really expensive thing is actually setting a water temperature too high, water heater temperature too high. And I know that's kind of interesting. You're like, what do you mean setting it too high? Well, unless you have a tankless water heater, your water heater is keeping the water in its tank hot 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And if you don't keep an eye on the temperature as seasons change, like, let's say the summertime, you could actually kick it down a little bit, because depending on where your water heater is, if it's in the garage or wherever it's at, it might be really hot in there, and you might not need to run the flames underneath it to keep the water hot as much. You can actually knock down the temperature a little bit and save some utility bills there. And vice versa, in the wintertime, you might want to kick it up a little bit. So you might want to bump it back up. But during the summer months, when it's warm out, you could be losing money by just heating and keep heating the water in your water heater whenever it doesn't need to be heated as often because of the temperature outside. So think about that. So the eighth thing that people do, and this is a big one, and this is a culprit of a lot of homes, and it's really easy to overlook. The eighth thing that's very expensive, and this can be very, very expensive, is leaky windows and doors. Now, what do I mean when I say leaky windows and doors? If your sill around the windows, right, or your weather stripping around your door is in need of repair, it is so cheap and so inexpensive to fix it. But if you don't fix it, it can be so expensive, because guess where all your cold air in the summer goes? It goes right out the door, and all that hot air comes in. And then guess what happens with your heat in the winter? It all rushes out and all the cold air comes in. So what are you doing? You're running the unit harder. They're heating it up even more when you might not need to if you just checked your windows and checked your doors. Because you and I both know is whether you're using electric or gas, whenever it goes into the peak season, either in the summer or in the winter, bills can get very expensive. And if we're keeping our house like 2-3 degrees cooler in the summer and 2-3 degrees warmer in the winter just to compensate for a leaky window and door, that's going to add up to hundreds of dollars over that season. So you can save yourself some money by just simply replacing or recaulking around the windows as needed and replacing any weather stripping around your doors, okay? So the ninth thing is, the ninth expensive thing that you can do to make a mistake is actually paying a handyman for things that you can do yourself. I mean, handymen are great. I'm a strong proponent of handyman. I use them all the time in real estate practice to help out with listings or buyers and stuff like that. I use them all the time. At the same time, whenever you're talking about do-it-yourself things that you could do at home, why would you pay a handyman? I mean, why would you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Handyman, I need you to come over and replace my light bulbs. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Handyman, I need you to come over and replace my air filters. I mean, unless there's like a medical condition that you might have or something that prevents you from doing that, that may not be the best idea for most homeowners, right? If you can do the things yourself, you should probably do it yourself. And, you know, by virtue of watching this video, I mean, here it is on YouTube, right? So guess what else you can learn on YouTube? How to do a lot of DIY projects from people far more knowledgeable than I am on DIY home projects that actually are in those trades on how to do them. Subscribe to their channels, learn from their wisdom and their insights, and figure out things that you could do yourself to save you some more money. So the 10th thing that can be massively, massively expensive is ignoring curled shingles or cracked tiles on your roof. And the reason this can get expensive is because if you're ignoring it, what happens to a curled shingle over time? It starts breaking down. It starts, it just deteriorates, right? A cracked tile, what happens? The crack gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. As that happens, and we have rain, we have wind, we have seasons change, what's happening? Our roof is now being exposed through those breakdowns of shingles and those breakdown of tiles. Our direct roof is being exposed, and the only thing protecting the roof now is whatever kind of liner you have on it. Well, depending on where you are, that liner may or may not be strong enough to withstand the seasons, and then what happens? Then it penetrates the plyboards, and then it penetrates everything else, and it gets into the house, and this is how roof leaks start. So by taking a proactive stance and surveying your roof like at least every 3 months, you know, I make the seasonal home maintenance videos too, but by surveying your roof every 3 months for anything that might need to be repaired now will save you a full-on replacement later. It's cheaper to repair and to have preventative medicine of your home, so to speak. I mean, it's just like we go to the doctor every year for an annual physical. It's like a preventative medicine. Make sure that we're okay. Make sure that if there's anything that's coming up or coming back, then we're going to be proactive on our health. Well, we got to be proactive on the health of our home too. And by surveying our home and surveying the roof, you're going to be proactive. And when you do that, then you'll probably be able to make an inexpensive repair as needed, vice a full-on replacement of a roof, which is going to be really expensive in many parts of the country. So anyways, this has been top 10 most expensive mistakes that you're making with your home. Tell me what you're thinking about this video in the comment section below, along with any other expensive mistakes that you know about that you like to share with our community. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pop up my contact information. If you'd like to reach out to me to help you find a top agent, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, please feel free to do so. I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already done so, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. Number 1, please subscribe to this channel. Number 2, please like this video. And number 3, please share this video around with someone you know is going to be able to help. Really appreciate you watching this video today, team. Tell me what you're thinking and what you'd like to see next in the video. And in between now and next time, I'm wishing you and yours a lifetime full of love, wealth, abundance, and happiness. Enjoy a wonderful day.